All right, welcome out to the first episode of the Universal Sports Podcast. My name is Gabriel Trevino, and this is one of the four podcasts that I have. I'll be coming on Monday through Friday. It'll be sometime in the evening, afternoon, where I'll come on, and it'll be recorded and shared like my other podcast to the Universal YouTube channel. And then it'll be shared to the Facebook, Twitter, Universal Sports channels, and then of course on the Anchor and Spotify as well. So this is one of the podcasts that I have that I'm starting off with, and I'll come on, like I said, Monday through Friday. And this podcast, it's just stuff that I love, right? So I love talking, and this podcast will consist of talking about professional sports. So it's really the NFL, MLB, and the NBA. Now we'll do a little bit of UFC. I'm really getting into the UFC. I don't know a lot about UFC, but I am getting into watching it a little bit more. So we'll definitely be talking some UFC, boxing. I love boxing, so we'll definitely be talking about boxing as well. We'll do a little bit of golf, not too much, but I'm getting into golf as well as far as staying up with golf. So we'll definitely throw some golf in there as well, and then we'll jump into the college sports, which is mainly the NCAA football, NCAA men's basketball. Now, I got into this here last couple of weeks, the NCAA women's basketball. So we'll definitely be talking about that next year. And then, of course, we'll do the NCAA baseball and softball. And softball is something that I've really gotten into. So it consists of professional sports and college sports. But like I said, it'll be Monday through Friday. And it's just the headlines. This is just to generate conversation with people that may follow me, that may agree or not agree with me. But we're gonna pick this up, and it's just a lot of fun. So sometimes a podcast may run 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it may run 45 minutes to an hour. It just depends on what kind of feedback I'm getting or what's really going on. So I'll just let you guys know what I enjoy and the teams that I like. So when it comes to the NFL, I love my Dallas Cowboys. So I'm a big time Dallas Cowboy fan. So, if you love the Cowboys, next year, I'm going to be talking about the Cowboys on here every time I come on, the good and the bad. I'm going to be doing the research and just, kind of just throwing it out there on the podcast. And then, of course, I'm going to give you my opinion. Some may agree, some may not agree, but I am a big time Dallas Cowboy fan. Now, somebody asked me the other day if I love the Houston Texans since I like Texas sports, and I said I will root for the Houston Texans when they're going up against anybody else except the Dallas Cowboys. So I will root for the Houston Texans. I don't wear caps that are Houston Texans, and I don't buy merchandise. Not sure why. I was a big time Houston Oilers fan when I was growing up. They were a real close second to the Dallas Cowboys. But an Oilers fan I was. I even went to the Astrodome and watched Warren Moon and all those Fab Four and all those guys. I was a kid watching Earl Campbell, so I was a big time Houston Oilers fan. Not so much a Texan fan. I can't really explain why that is, but I'm not. But I will root for them because if they're going in, especially if they're in the playoffs, going against anybody else. I'm from Texas, so I back up all my Texas teams, right? But I'm a big time Dallas Cowboy fan. So you're gonna hear on this podcast me talk a lot about the Dallas Cowboys. And when it comes down to the NBA, like I said, I'm a Texas guy. I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan. I'm a Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili. I'm that type of guy. I love my San Antonio Spurs. When I was in high school, I was a big time Houston Rocket fan. I loved Akeem Olajuwon. I remember Ralph Sampson, Sam Cassell. So I was a Rocket fan growing up in high school. And then, when San Antonio, and I always rooted for San Antonio, right? But when they got Tim Duncan, I really, turned focus and I've been a San Antonio Spurs fan since then. So Spurs and the Rockets definitely. I grew up being a supporter. I love those teams. Now the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, I love Luka Doncic. I really wasn't for being a Dallas Cowboy fan. I'm not that big of a Mavericks fan. So if I had to put things in order, the Mavericks would be the third team in Texas that I would root for. But I do love what they're doing now. They got Kyrie Irving, so I do love all three Texas teams. But I guess I would have to say the Spurs aren't doing really good now, right? But I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan than Houston Rockets and then the Dallas Mavericks. If there is a team that has grown on me that I do not that's not from Texas, but I really like it. And that's the Milwaukee Bucks. So I'm a big time Bucks fan here the last 2, 3 years. I love Giannis. But I think they kind of remind me a little bit of a small market like the Spurs, the way that they're in a league where everybody kind of moves around and they kind of form this group, right? Where you know we're going to be a super team. They're still kind of like the Spurs. You know, they got Giannis and some really good role players, and they've won a championship. So I'm a Giannis fan. So I like just the style, the small market. So, you know, outside of Texas and NBA, if there's a team that you would see me rooting for, it would be the Milwaukee Bucks. So for all you Buck fans, I definitely am on the Buccaneer, the Bucks. I'm sorry, Milwaukee Bucks bandwagon, right? I like just like the style they play. So when it comes to the MLB, of course, I'm a Houston Astros fan. I've been a Houston Astros fan since I was young. They're winning, of course, so definitely I love the Astros. So definitely on this podcast and coming up here because the season just started, you'll hear me talk a lot about the Houston Astros on here. You'll hear me, you know, kind of talk about the pitching and what's going on and whether they win or lose. They play pretty much every day or every other day. So there'll be a lot of talk here about the Houston Astros. I love the Texas Rangers as well. They're my second place, kind of like Dallas and Houston. This way in baseball, it's kind of reversed. Houston goes one, and the Texas Rangers up in the Dallas area go two. So why is that? I have no idea. That's just the way it is. But definitely love the Houston Astros. You'll hear me talk a lot about the Astros and the Texas Rangers, just to kind of give you a little update on who I love as far as my professional sports. And so you're going to hear you're going to hear me talking a lot in this podcast about those teams and other teams as well. And then, of course, when it comes to college, I mean, I'm a Longhorn fan. So, you know, Texas first. Now, people ask me, do you not love the Aggies? I got nothing against the Texas A&M Aggies. They're from Texas. Yeah, I cheer them on in the SEC, but I'm a Longhorn fan. I love Texas Longhorns first. So you'll hear me talk a lot about all of the you know Baylor and stuff like that. I'll definitely you know bring up and talk about, but it mainly you know I talk a lot about A&M because I got a lot of people that I know that love A&M, so there'll be a lot of A&M talk here, and then of course the Texas Longhorns. You know you're going to hear a lot about the Longhorns here on this podcast. And like I said, we'll talk about other teams. I'm just kind of letting you guys know who I like so you kind of can get familiar. Okay, this guy loves, these are the teams that he kind of, you know, talks about and really likes. Um, of course, like I said, I like the other Texas teams. When it comes to football, it's definitely the Longhorns all the way. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not a Georgia fan or an Alabama fan or any of that. I stick to Texas when it comes to college football. Now I watch other teams, right? But I'm all Texas when it comes to NCAA football. Same thing with basketball. Not much changes. I'm a Longhorn. Baseball is the same way. That's who I follow. So I kind of follow when it comes to college baseball, softball, and when it comes to basketball and football, it's all Texas Longhorns for me, right? But there are other teams that I get interested that I like watching. So we'll definitely talk about all these other teams and what's going on. You know, the UFC and boxing. You know, when we get into all of that tomorrow, I'll definitely let you guys know. You know who I like. You know, in the fights. UFC. You know, I don't know a lot of fighters in UFC, but every day that I do research, I'm getting more familiar with their records and what they're doing. Um, so basically, that's how it goes. So as we talk about all these other things, these are things that we'll talk about other teams. You know, we'll talk about the LA Lakers. I mean, I'm not a Laker fan today, but I did love Magic Johnson when he played. So yeah, I love talking about the Lakers and you know they're gonna make the playoffs and all this stuff that's going on with LeBron James. I'm not a Yankee fan, but we'll definitely talk a lot about the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. And I gotta tell you guys, I don't know why that is, but when we go up east, I'm not a fan of any teams up from the East Coast. Not sure why. I've been there once or twice in my life, you know, but I've just never followed those teams: Boston, New York, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets, the Patriots. Just not a big fan of them. But we will talk about those teams because I do respect these teams and what they've done. History means something here on this podcast, right? We talk about the Yankees and the championships that they won, the Patriots and Brady and all that. So even though, I'm not a fan of these teams, we'll definitely be talking about these teams and what they're doing today in sports. So we're going to talk about a lot of teams. And if you guys follow, and I'm not talking about a team, you can, I'll post up an email where you can kind of send, or when the podcast goes out, you guys can, I think there's a comment section there. You can let me know, hey, you don't talk about this team or whatever the case may be. So this is what this podcast is going to consist of, just talking professional college sports. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to play with the Jets? Lamar Jackson? I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going on. So it's just to have fun and just talk conversations. But I will give you my opinion on what I think. And as the podcast goes, there are certain topics that I will talk about that I have a strong opinion on. And I'm just going to go ahead respectfully and just give you guys my opinion. You're more than welcome to come back and give me your feedback. I like to be able to carry conversation with whoever it is that follows and listens. But again, this is just all in fun, just to carry conversation. I've been doing this for years, where we kind of like just, we got to get together and everybody's got an opinion, right, about what's going on and about the sport. Well, I'm just decided I'm just going to go ahead and bring it onto the podcast and just let people know what I think, who my favorite teams are. And sometimes these teams that I've been following all my life, when they lose, man, I come on the podcast. You might hear my voice change a little bit because I get, kind of a little upset when the play doesn't go, or they lose a game that I think they should have won. So my tone will change somewhat. You'll kind of see a little bit more like, hey man, he's really getting into it, because I really follow and I want this team to win. But it's all in fun, right? I don't get on this podcast and start using, bleep bleep bleep, bad words. That's just not who I am. May throw a cuss word out here and there, but as far as it just continually coming out of my mouth, that's just not in my vocabulary. But my tone can get a little tough, because sometimes when a team loses, I watch a football game, man, I'm hot if we lose or there's a bad call. So you might be able to catch all of that on this podcast. But once again, this is a podcast that's going to be Monday through Friday. Sometimes it may go 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it may go 45 to an hour. It just depends on how it's going and if there's any followers and just how I'm feeling that day. There might be something going on with the Cowboys or the Astros that I didn't like that happened, and I just may come in here and vent here on the podcast. So hopefully you people that will follow or hear about it, man, don't be scared to come on and kind of tell me what you're thinking through the comment section. There will be no picture, there will be no video where you actually see me talk. This is just strictly audio. I'll come in here and, like I said, and I'll just kind of give you guys my opinion. Just thought it'd be a lot of fun. We'll see how it goes. And so this is just kind of episode number one. Not much to really talk about. Like I said, the NBA, we're ending the NBA. We're ending the 2023 regular season. Just a few games left, maybe a week left, and then we'll start, in the playoffs. Of course, my team, the San Antonio Spurs, they won 5 championships, and I mean, Coach Popovich is still there, but of course, San Antonio is at the bottom right now. So they've got a ways to go to regroup and become competitive again. The Houston Rockets, you heard me say my second team that I like, that they're not doing very well either. They're at the bottom with the Spurs. And then, of course, the one team from Texas that I do follow that, is kind of doing better than those two teams are the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic. I had big expectations when Kyrie Irving came on, and I thought this team definitely would make some noise in the playoffs, but they may not even make the playoffs. I mean, they're struggling right now. They're not out of it yet. But definitely it's going to be tough for them to get in. I'm a little concerned with Doncic and Irving. Doncic doesn't look like he's having a lot of fun. So I'm not sure if there's anything behind the scenes that hasn't come out yet, but the Mavericks, there's a very good chance that this team won't even make the playoffs. So for the 2023 playoffs, you may not even have one Texas team there. Of course, the Milwaukee Bucks, I talked about them as one of my teams out of the state of Texas that I follow. They're doing very good. I think they're a top in the East. They got beat pretty bad by Boston a couple of days ago, which was kind of concerning to me. Just the beatdown that Boston gave Milwaukee. Milwaukee came out real flat, so I didn't like to see that. But again, this is a team that's a championship team. They've got some really good players down there. They got a super stud So we'll see how the playoffs happen. But can the Lakers make the playoffs? They're looking like they're going to make it. If you get to the West, the leading teams in the West, which is like um, Denver and Sacramento. I don't know if they'll end up in the finals in the Western Conference Finals, but Durant's back with Phoenix, so we'll see. If he can stay healthy. Booker and Chris Paul. Chris Paul's still trying to chase his first championship. We'll see how that plays out. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers were somebody I thought would be there, but with Paul George now out for a couple of weeks, I don't know, how good, they'll be because Kawhi Leonard's in this load management. So, how far can the Clippers go till Paul George gets back? I'm not sure they can get very far. And then, of course, you got the Golden State Warriors, and you can never count the Golden State Warriors out, right? They're the defending champions. During the regular season, people talk about them and they say, man, this team, isn't going to be very good. But that team is built for the playoffs and they're starting to play better ball now. They still got Clay and Steph. So you can never count them out, right? So the playoffs are coming up here in about a week or so. And so definitely on this podcast, we're going to be getting ready and talking about those teams, the matchups, the players, and, my predictions on who I think is going to come out of the West and who's going to come out of the East. And so we'll check all that out and see. So I'm excited about the ending of the regular season and getting into the playoffs in the NBA. It's a fun time to be talking NBA, right? When we're getting into the playoffs. And then, of course, the MLB just started. And like I told you, I love my Houston Astros. They split with the White Sox 2-2. They didn't sign Verlander back. We'll find out if that was a good decision or not. But, the offense kind of struggling there a little bit. They got some injuries. Altuve out for about, 2 months or so. Probably is due back end of May. Brantley obviously should be coming back soon, I hope. And then McCullers also, injured. So right now they're not 100%, but I think they've got enough to be able to continue to win games. Hunter Brown will be pitching later tonight. So I'm excited about seeing him later on today to see what this young guy can do. Hopefully he'll turn out to be what the Astros think he'll be to help out Valdez and Javier and Garcia and Urquidy and these guys. Because the one thing we know about the Astros, right, is they got a great bullpen. But the offense has kind of been mediocre here to start off. So Bagwell kind of struggling, but we see this every year from the Astros, right? They start off slow and then they catch their pace. So I'm not concerned about the Astros, not me being a contender at the end of the season and into the playoffs if they can stay healthy. But Seattle has gotten better. The Rangers have gotten better. The Yankees, we'll see how they do, but this is within the division, right? So, Houston's going to have to kind of be careful because these other teams that maybe weren't so good like the Rangers, I think they're going to be a lot better this year. Seattle, that series last year, boy, I mean, we beat them, but they hung in there. So it's going to be a very interesting MLB this year, the season. So I'm excited. We'll definitely be talking a lot about baseball here on this podcast. And so, like I said, it's just a great time. We'll talk a little bit of NFL. We're not in the NFL season, but I talked about Aaron Rodgers. If he goes to the Jets, where did the Jets all of a sudden become AFC champs? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going into this with a lot of young studs as quarterbacks. Burrow and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. I mean, the list goes on and on with all of these players out there. So it's going to be very interesting. We'll definitely, even though we're not in the season, we'll talk NFL. Lamar Jackson, the NFL draft is coming up at the end of this month. So definitely we'll be talking NFL, even though we're not in the season. There's always things to talk all year round about coaches and players and what's going on. So there'll always be NFL talk here. And then, of course, college men's baseball and softball. I watch a lot of softball. I watched Oklahoma and Texas go at it. And, of course, Oklahoma swept Texas 3-0. But I thought that in game 2, Texas had that game. If anybody that listens to this podcast saw that series, Texas was right there, pitched a great great game, lost it at the very end in the last inning, I believe, if I remember correctly. But that's just how tough Oklahoma is. You got to play them tough. It was the last inning, 3 outs away, and they couldn't hold the lead, and then they lost, 4-3, I believe, and then they got blown out in the third game. So you got to, if you want to be crown champions, you're going to have to beat Oklahoma, right? And Texas, I thought, even though they got swept, they played tough. They put themselves in a position, the Lady Longhorn softball team, to win. So I would love to see this matchup again somewhere down the road. I don't know. I haven't seen the schedule that far down to see if they play again, but they played in the World Series in the championship game last year. Of course, Oklahoma won. So I think Texas is good. And when you look at the Lady Longhorns, right, their softball team, they got a lot of players returning back, a lot of young talent they're doing really good. So the future, I think, looks bright for the Lady Longhorns. But we'll definitely be talking a lot of softball, college softball here on the Universal Sports Podcast. Like I said, I wasn't 3 years ago into softball, but since then I follow high school softball in my area too. So I really get into softball, and then baseball as well. We'll watch baseball. We'll talk baseball and see how they're doing there at the college level. And then, of course, you got the UFC. They've got pay-per-view fights every month. So we'll definitely be talking about who the upcoming fighters will be. They have this, I think, also weekly fights. So I definitely do the research, write the notes on topics that I'll talk about here on the podcast. So there'll be definitely UFC. Sometimes it may go 20-minute UFC talk. Sometimes it may be just 5-7 minutes. I may have a guest on here that knows a little bit more about UFC than I do. So when that happens, obviously, it'll go a little bit longer. But like I said, podcasts can go an hour, they can go 15, 20 minutes. So definitely there'll be some UFC talking. And then, of course, boxing. We'll definitely talk boxing. And coming up, there's a fight coming up at the end of the month between Davis and Garcia, Ryan Garcia. That's the one everyone's really talking about. I'll let you guys know who I'm going to predict to win that fight, who I'm rooting for, and why I'm rooting for them. But I won't give that up now. I'll talk more. I'll talk about that fight pretty much every day, every other day. But as we get closer to the fight, I'll let you guys know who I'm picking. So this is just a little bit of what we'll talk about, and it's hard for me to kind of let you know who we'll be talking about because I don't know. I just kind of randomly look as I do research, and whatever I see that's interesting that I think people might want to hear, I'll talk about, and then I'll definitely give you my opinion. But remember, this is just in fun to stir up conversation. Pretty much all my life, we've always had conversations like I'm having now with a bunch of guys in the group, whether it be high school friends or family. But we always just talking. Everybody has an opinion, right, about a game, about a Cowboys. All I'm doing is just bringing it out now to this podcast. So I'm not asking you guys to come on the podcast and talk. You can, and if you want to, you can let me know. And man, we do it through Zoom. I can bring you in. There's no camera. There's just audio, so people would hear your voice, but they wouldn't see who you are. Or you can just kind of communicate with me through the comment sections. I mean, and that's cool too. I'm just trying to have some fun. I love talking sports. Why not put it out on the podcast and give people my opinion? I know sometimes when you broadcast your opinion, you're open to a lot of people giving you feedback. Don't be ugly if you disagree with me. Just kind of let me know what you're thinking. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, but I try to do the best I can with my stats. And then I just got to give you my opinion on what I think. But, it's all in fun, guys. Hopefully you guys that follow will kind of, listen from time to time and let me know what you're thinking. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, why do you disagree? But once again, this podcast, Universal Sports Podcast, I'll be coming on every evening, Monday through Friday. I'll take a break on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll return back on Monday. And so we'll do it in the evening, afternoon. Sometimes the podcast may be uploaded late at night, but most of the time it'll be the next day. So the first for the week will be on Tuesday morning. The last one will be on Saturday morning. So like I said, it's just having a lot of fun. I mean, it was just something that I thought I would do. And I got other ideas that I want to add on here in a couple of months. But right now it's just an audio, no video, and just talking sports, right? So this will be again Monday through Friday. And again, I got 4 other podcasts that we do. We do the Pirates Cove, we do the Gridiron 64, and then there's the best of the best podcast. So this one was just something I put together just to have fun, just to kind of, I talk sports and just carry conversations with people who might have an opinion, who might want to listen and say, this guy, man, he knows what he's talking about. This guy's freaking crazy. He don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm gonna have to set him straight. So however you want to think about it, but it's all in fun. I'm not gonna dog anybody that I disagree with. So all I ask is, don't dog me too bad, but definitely I like to hear from you, especially when games are over, especially during football season. So just come on out and like I said, if you want to get on the podcast, you can let me know. Or, if you want to just kind of chime in through the comment section, man, I'm cool with that. Just kind of carry conversation. Let's have some fun talking sports. Sports is 365, right? It's on every day. I'm just doing my part and bringing it out to you and letting you guys know who my teams are, and I'll give you definitely my opinion. Again, Monday through Friday. Today was the first day. Tomorrow, again, will be episode number 2. And again, like I said, we talk professional college sports, and then we talk UFC boxing. And then, we'll also have some golf in there, maybe some other stuff. Maybe somebody will jump on and say, hey, I want to talk about this. And I may not have an idea of what we're talking about, but if you have the idea, come on the podcast. I'll do my best to do the research and try to carry a conversation with you. It's all in fun. So again, it's just going to be the audio version, no video to start off with. But I love talking sports, man. This morning at work, I've been talking sports since I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I get to work about 5:30. And about 10 minutes after that, I start finding somebody and we just talk sports all day long, off and on. Then I come, home and I talk more sports. And so it's been kind of the last year, 2 years, it's what's kind of taken over my life, is talking sports. But I love what I'm doing. I love carrying conversation with people. And I tell people, don't be scared, man. Just come on and give your opinion. I mean, just let us know what you're thinking. We do it off when we're in a group or wherever, right? This is just kind of putting a mic in front of you and you just kind of telling it to the world what you think, right? Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows you. So if you want to come on, you know, we can come on. You don't even need a microphone through the way we connect through Zoom. Just come on out. If you want to, I welcome you. If not, like I said, just in the podcast, when I upload it, um, just get into the comment section and let me know what you're thinking, man. Again, this podcast will go sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 45, maybe a little over an hour, just depends. But it'll be recorded, pre-recorded, right? And then it'll be uploaded the very next day to the Universal Sports YouTube channel. So if you like what we're doing now, and as I continue to go and add stuff, if you like it, please become a subscriber to the Universal Sports YouTube channel. And then I'll also share it there to the Universal Sports Facebook and Twitter page. And then on audio, it goes to Spotify, Anchor. I think it's Apple Podcast. There's some other outlets that I need to let you guys know. But for right now, I know it's on Anchor and Spotify. So you can catch it if you're commuting to work, coming back from work, and you want to hear some crazy guy who thinks he knows about sports. You want to hear what he's got to say, man. Just kind of tune in and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, just carrying conversation. Want to try to get other people to come in and just talk sports. Just instead of a group, we're throwing it out here on the air. We might get other people that might want to get involved, right? So it's just about professional sports, though, and college, nothing else. It's UFC, boxing, pro sports, and no high school stuff on this podcast. That's for another podcast. But that'll just kind of wanted to come on and let you guys know what today was the first day, and then I'll come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then again on Monday, just not on the weekend. So for me, it's going to be busy, starting to live stream games also, and then coming on and doing these podcasts. I'm pretty much busy every day. And, I kind of thought about it and I said, man, I'm going to overload myself. Uh, but I just got to be a little bit more get in and get out, but it will be a little tiring, but for me, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I like carrying conversations with different people and I like hearing other people's opinion, not just my own. So that's why I do this. I love talking sports. And so if you're interested and you hear and you check out something or you hear something that I say and you kind of feel like, man, this guy's crazy, definitely kind of, you know, let's debate a little bit. Let me hear what you got to say. I'm always interested in hearing what other people have to say about a topic that I bring up. So again, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow I'll be coming on again in the afternoon or evening, but it will be uploaded. So this one will be uploaded tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow will be Wednesday and so forth. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to hear from you guys. I hope you like the podcast. It's just really me talking and just giving my opinion. Hopefully, people will chime in. I've got some people that have told me they like to come on, but people say that and then they kind of, nah, I don't want to do it at the last minute. But like I said, if you're interested and you want to come on the podcast, you can just go to my email, GT, all lowercase, right? GT Sports 6464 at hotmail.com. I check it multiple times a day. If you want to come on, just kind of let me know. Hey, I want to come on your podcast. I want to talk about this. It may be a couple of days. I'll check out what you want to talk about. I'll do my research on it, schedule you on a date, and we'll come on and we'll have some fun and we'll debate it, right? So that's what this podcast will be all about. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Thank you. Hopefully, when you get time, you'll check out this podcast, right? And like I said, I'll be on 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So thank you very much. Universal Sports Podcast #1 in the books. Tune in tomorrow or for Wednesday morning as I'll do episode #2, and I'll start up on my notes to see what I want to talk about. I'll kind of see what's going on in the sports world today. A couple of NBA games. I know there's a couple of the NCAA final, the championship game. Definitely will be played tonight. The women's, there was a lot of talk about that. The LSU Iowa game last night. So definitely, I'll try to talk a little bit about that tomorrow. And then, of course, like I said, NBA regular season coming to an end, and then the playoffs, and then the regular MLB season starting up. So there'll be a lot of sports to talk about. So I'll be busy, but I got everything set up here, ready to go. I just got to sit myself down in the chair, get me something to drink, and I'm ready to talk sports. So guys, thank you very much. Episode 1 in the books. Episode 2 for the Universal Sports Podcast will come on tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the basketball game if you watch it or any other sport you're watching, and I'll come back on and talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, peace out. Have a great night.